saying that last Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode.
It's also, there's no floor underneath. That might also be the reason why you're...
Dude, it's so raw and real, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are joined by Raza Jafri.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome to the podcast, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. A staple in the Austin comedy scene and the world in my book, dude.
Wow.
What's the name of your special? Spencer was telling me to bring up the Raven's Dilemma. Is that what it's called?
No, it's not.
Why does he always
Spencer's
say that?
such a dick. This is what happened. I named it A Few Funny Ideas, which I think is a very clean name. It's what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was like 5 years in. I was like, I just want to put out something that feels like a completed project. Because so much of comedy is just like, you have a joke and then you kind of keep doing it and then it fizzles out. And you're like, okay, what I like about like writing a book or something is like you have this beginning.
You put a bow on it.
Yeah, you put a bow on it. It's nice to put bows on things.
Yeah.
So I called it Few Funny Ideas, and then Spencer made a Canva thing with like these like ravens on it and like me in artistic photos and called it. So he was like so excited to have Raza's special, to see Raza's special. It's called The Raven's Paradox or whatever, Raven's Dilemma. And the problem is, is that people thought that is what it was.
I thought it was The Raven's Dilemma. I was like, God, that's so sick.
It's not sick. That's the problem. And the fact that people think that I would do that is not a good sign. Dude. I need to do like some sort of like
brand
marketing reassessment of who I am as a person.
There's another bird he likes to say, the sparrows something.
It's like the sparrow's paradox and the raven's dilemma.
Yeah.
Are what people come up to me and say, I was like, dog, so excited. They haven't seen the special. Nobody's seen the special, but they know the name of the special. Or Spencer's
version of it.
Yeah.
He's like, I keep Googling ravens on YouTube and your special won't pop up, dude.
Somehow I've been associated with birds. I think it was because my podcast had a bird at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I thought was cool at the time. But
what was the bird at the end?
It was just I caught a bird on my camera, and it was like a black and white photo. So it was also black and white.
Dude.
It did. Okay,
it makes you think.
I perpetuated this.
Yeah. You should know about life. This is a dilemma. It involves this.
Yeah. The problem is sincerity is not rewarded in the comedy community. Because most sincerity is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like especially on the internet.
Yeah.
What is it about sincerity on the internet that feels like it's like fishing for compliments because they've put a like button on all thoughts that you put out on the internet. Everything feels like you're fishing for likes.
I think they should take it off.
Yeah.
Just get rid of all the likes and everything.
You just posted. There's no feedback. You're just spitting into the void. Yeah.
I mean, that's what you got to do because you start getting trained by the algorithm of being like, oh, I'm being rewarded for this. So let me
keep doing it.
Let me keep doing these 10K cancer runs, you know?
Yeah. That's why people do this.
Yeah.
For the likes.
They're just like pushing through it.
Yeah. That's why cancer exists. Actually, it's self-perpetuating at this point.
Whoa, dude. Now that's the Raven's Dilemma. It's like, would cancer be a thing if we brought this into existence? Right. Wow. That's like in Marvel Avengers when they're like, our power.
I'm losing you.
Invites, this
I can't. This is one way I am pretentious is I hate Marvel
I knew
movies.
I was going to lose you. I was like, let's not even go this angle right now, dude. And Catcher in the Rye, dude.
Do you like Marvel stuff?
I love it. But I love it as almost white noise style thing where it's just like, you don't have any guilty pleasures of like Cops or anything like that where you're just like, this is...
I feel like I'll watch basketball highlights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll watch like the last 5 minutes of a close basketball game.
Okay.
I like the suspense of like, oh, it's the Mavs and the Thunder playing.
Yeah.
And it's the last 5 minutes. I hate when the thumbnail shows like somebody like with their fist pumping so you know who won.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste too much time, but I want to be uncertain about who's going to win this game. That's fun to me. And I know it's a close game, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that's why like live events and sporting events are fun. But if you already know who won, there's almost no point to watch it.
It's stupid. Yeah. So that I would say that's a guilty pleasure. I think cooking is a guilty pleasure of mine. I like waste time by cooking, but I hate mindless guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It makes me feel because it just feels pornography is a
Yeah, I was
guilty
about to
pleasure.
say, yeah.
I do like that, but like I will feel guilty afterwards. I'll feel like I'm wasting my life.
Yeah. I've noticed the older I start getting that I start feeling that porn guilt before, during, and after now.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this is no longer that moment after. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I become an observant
Yeah.
of just going into it where I'm like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah. Because also it's like, oh, I'm training my brain to be attracted to this. Yeah. This is bad for my self-image and my body and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
You like can't, as you're younger, you're just like tits, boobs, and then you're like, oh, like there's so many other things that start going into it when you start just learning about the dark side of all of it. You're just like, oh, I'm destroying my brain. And I know I'm doing it right now.
Has it affected your sex life?
No. I'm actually I try to be very good with,
you're going to say I'm very hung.
yeah, dude.
I'm actually very hung. So.
But like I got out ahead of that one where I was like, okay, I don't want this to affect my personal life. So I try not to watch really porn that much anymore.
How often do you watch it?
Maybe once a week.
Okay.
If that.
Manageable. That's how many spots you're getting at East Austin.
Yeah, dude. We can get that changed, dude.
Just do it. Do it one after the other.
Yeah.
What are you doing for the porn industry that they let you watch it once a week?
Dude, I know.
Camera stuff.
What about you?
Mine is more sporadic. I'll go through these phases where I indulge and I gorge on it, and then I just like won't watch it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one kind of workaround is I watch sex tapes that I'm inside of.
Dude, that is the Raven's dilemma right there. You're self-producing.
I'm watching my own sex tapes from like the past.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Reminiscing?
Yeah, of like old loves. Yeah. That we made sex tapes together.
Do you have...
But also current love. Like
Yeah.
her and I probably shouldn't say this part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are some other guilty pleasures you're dealing with?
I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just like, so it's like that. I'll watch that instead of, because porn, it makes you feel, if it's other people, you're watching other people, you're kind of just cucking yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why cucking has become so prominent is because we've trained ourselves to just watch other people fuck.
Yeah. That's like everything in life is we don't just do that with porn. We do that with any kind of disaster or tragedy or drama.
Yeah.
Like,
you get off on those too?
Huh?
You get off on those?
I usually jack off when I see someone get in a car accident.
Like a landslide? Yeah, like the Japan tsunami was big for you? Yeah.
Oh, brother, you're speaking my language. No, like I think that's a part.
Every time, what is that? Earthquake measurement unit? The Geiger meter goes
Richter
off.
scale just starts tingling. I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. Like when dogs can sense an earthquake, I'm like, here we go.
That's you. Yeah.
So when you have a guilty pleasure of cooking, is it you're taking your time with making something from scratch, like, or are you just like,
Yeah. I really like the puzzle of cooking. It's like, can I make something really well? You know, and then like I'll have my favorite part. I'm going through this right now because a friend of mine just gave me this recipe that is really simple, but like you can like create small variations that make it your own. Which that's the best part of cooking is like you get a recipe. Following a recipe by the book is boring. The fun is in like, okay, what other ingredients that aren't in the recipe can I add to make this pop more or like feel slightly different? But like, so the recipe is super simple. I'll just tell you, it's like, you have some olive oil, you cube chickens. I don't know when this became a cooking show, but
you raise the chicken.
You raise the chicken, but like, and then you put sliced garlics, like really thinly sliced garlics. You throw the chicken in there, and then you throw Thai chili pepper in there, and then cilantro at the end. And it's like really fresh chicken. Like the taste just feels like so clean and fresh. And the Thai chili peppers give it a great spice. So now I've been iterating on that. So I started with his recipe, and now I've been adding I added soba noodles, and then Parmesan and lemon. And that I think is like, now that's the thing I keep making. I bought so much chicken 2 days ago, and I'm just going to keep trying different variations of it. But
So are you doing this every night where you're doing a different variation of this one meal?
the last 2 out of 3 nights is
Really?
what is. Yeah, I made eggs today because I was getting sick of it.
Yeah.
I was getting tired of eating chicken. But yeah, I need to not eat chicken for a little bit so I can enjoy it again. But
Whoa.
yeah,
How long does this process take you
which part?
to making the food from start?
It's really
Okay.
because it's just like 3-4 ingredients, right? So the hardest part is maybe waiting for the chicken to defrost.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then you just cube up the chicken, mince the garlic, chop up the cilantro and Thai pepper, and then it takes about 25 minutes to make the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I love the whole process of it because it doesn't feel like mindless. I hate mindless things. That's why I hate Marvel, because Marvel just feels like it's big explosions.
Yeah.
And then like really like formulaic storylines that like will hit. It feels like pop music to me.
Yeah. It's
It's like I can't. It
it's
feels
literally the hero's journey repeated
over and
formula
over in such a
every
boring
movie.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the only arc that I like is when they did Infinity and Endgame. Like I liked it because it was the first time there's been so many crossovers. But then in Infinity War, it was the first time in like a superhero movie where the villain won, and it ended on a weird note.
Yeah.
I like that where it's like disrupted, but
Right.
yeah, I completely agree. Where it's like you just switch out the characters. And it's
Yeah.
the same story.
The last Marvel movie I watched was The Dark Knight, and I was like, and I know that's not a
you didn't
Marvel
like
movie. No, I did like that movie.
Yeah. That's a great one. Amazing soundtrack.
My only criticism of it was I felt like the villain should have won in that one.
And was that Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the end, when there's 2 boats or 2 ships or whatever, and they are supposed to blow each other up, and neither do.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the most unrealistic thing. Human nature dictates that one of them would have blown the other one.
Right. Yeah. They like suspended reality in that one choice.
Yeah, they were like, oh, humanity is better than it actually is. In a way, it's like,
the world says otherwise.
yeah, 100%. And then Trump got elected like 4 years later.
So what does a perfect day for you look like?
Good question. That's one of my questions on my podcast.
Is it?
Yeah. It's also one of the questions. Where'd you get this question?
Because you're an interesting character. You really are a Raven's dilemma. I know you read a lot, Japanese. A lot of you're very cultured.
Thank you,
and
man.
I remember one time I met your brother. You guys were just playing chess in here in between sets, and I'm like, okay, these people are built different, as the kids say.
Thank you.
And where does that come from? What is?
I don't know. I think books were like education was valued in my family from the jump. That was the most important thing. We didn't grow up very rich, so it was like you need education to get financially stable and have status.
Are you first generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born here, but my older brother wasn't, and my parents weren't either.
Yeah.
But it was so education was highly valued. But in my family, it was valued in the context of getting to financial stability and prestige. I didn't catch that last part. I was always like skeptical of the hierarchy, like because I was not within the hierarchy of the family. I was the middle child, so my brother, my older brother, was the embodiment of corruption as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
How so?
In the sense that like when you have an older brother and they beat the shit out of you,
right?
And then like they make these rules and then they break the rules when it serves them.
Yeah.
As a kid, I mean, he's a father and has 2 kids, and he's
a tyrant as an older brother.
As a tyrant of an older brother. I'm describing him in a very malicious way, but
yeah.
So that I think that made me skeptical of like kind of trying to navigate the hierarchy. So, anyways, I guess that's where it comes from. It comes from valuing education and then just reading a lot, using books as a way to escape into different worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then eventually traveling and that being a different form of escape. So
where do you like to travel? Europe.
Yeah, I like Europe. Everywhere.
Yeah.
There are places like I really want to check out more of Southeast Asia. I've only been to Japan, so but everywhere is really interesting. The older I get, the less intrepid I've become. You know, I feel like my knees hurt more, so I don't have the energy to like do stupid shit that I used to do. But yeah,
do you like when you like to travel or have before? Are you more of like a Rolling Stone where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna have the real experience, and like now are you kind of getting to the point where you're just like, I want to go and I want to do it a certain way? You getting more particular in your old age?
Yeah. Okay. This is my problem. I'm very type B. So I really enjoy moments, but I don't like to travel and then plan an itinerary out that it's like, okay, we got to hit this and this. And then it becomes like stressful.
Yeah.
Is that how you travel?
I don't like to travel like that.
At all?
I don't like to travel
You're just
with
sitting at home watching Endgame.
No, I just started over.
Now that's the Raven's dilemma.
No, I love to travel, but I don't like planning.
The pigeon's problem.
The pigeon's problem. I don't like to travel with an itinerary where we have to do this on this day and this on this day.
Yeah.
I'll have like ideas where like, oh, I'd like to see this. I'd like to do that. Yeah. But like if we don't, let's just relax and go to dinner and do this and check out. Like
that's also what I like to do.
Yeah.
Is like I just want to be here and see what it feels like.
Yeah.
And just kind of feel like I live here, observe people, because that's kind of what's enjoyable anyways. The problem I've noticed with that is then if you don't do any planning, you end up at like a fucking mediocre restaurant that like you could have just done back home.
Yeah.
And so you end up having a mediocre time when if you just put a little bit of effort into like where you want to go, or you could be around someone who is good at that effort. Like if you have like a type A person around you, they'll help you find, oh, you got to check out this and this. The problem is it's then they're annoying. You know, I think finding a balance between getting a few, like, all right, I do want to check out these 3 restaurants or whatever. So that's what I've gotten to when I'm older, balancing my type B with a little bit of planning.
Yeah. So what does a perfect day for you look like?
My perfect day, I'm watching porn. I think just starting off right. You ever watch porn first thing in the morning?
Not in a long time.
Not a long
Back
time.
in the day.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, when I was like 16, I'd wake up sometimes before everybody else and be like, let me get this computer knocked out of the way before everybody else gets up.
Was it like the family computer?
Yeah. I was like, let me get down here. Let me get my window in, you know?
Yeah. The birds aren't even open.
They're waking up, they're like, what the fuck? Dude, those Girls Gone Wild commercials, sometimes that's all you had.
Yeah. I don't know. My perfect day, if I were to answer that honestly, is I'm working on a project, right? So I'm getting progress done on the project. I make food. So I like cook something new and interesting. I get writing in. So I'm like, it's a lot of just like doing creative stuff. I think is my perfect day. I get to talk to the people I love, right? Maybe there's some element of adventure. I'm in nature somehow, and I get to perform. And then after I'm coming down from all of those adventures of like cooking and writing and then going out to hike or something, then I have sex. I make love to my woman, and then I go do stand-up comedy, and then I make love to a stranger. No, I'm kidding. It is.
It's your perfect day, brother.
It is my perfect day. I don't know why my girlfriend's ruining it right now.
So selfish. Dude.
Yeah. So, and then I do stand up and then I go to sleep. Yeah.
What time do you normally go to bed?
What is your perfect day?
My perfect day is, it probably involves being in the woods.
Yeah.
Like I love nature. I love fishing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite experiences is catching a fish and cooking it right there. Like you clean it and cook it right there.
Yeah.
You make a little rock fire pit and you cook that right on there.
Do you do that often?
Not as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing maybe once a year,
doing
2 years.
porn and fishing
dude,
back in the
I'm
day.
bullshitting now, dude.
All your glory days seem to be behind you.
I know, it's fucked up. I got to get back to my roots. I think what I really love is the days that I can disconnect from, social media, from the kind of things that are almost, I don't know. What do you think about social media in the sense of it's not a mindless guilt pleasure because there's ways that we like tie into it with productivity and like our kind of thing with doing stand up. But
before we get into before we get into social media, I think the perfect day question is interesting because it's like there's different types of perfect days.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Like I like the sense of adventure of what you're talking about, like where you're fishing, like that when you're waking up and you're like, oh, we're gonna go fishing today.
Yeah.
That excitement and then the drive there, that's perfect. But also like a day where you just get all the things in, that also feels like a perfect day, but like not a particularly special day. Yeah. But you like wrote a new joke or something and then you did all of that. I think that's also fun. So I was like, when you asked that question, I was like, which one do I describe?
It's interesting because it is that perfect day would turn into a terrible day if you did it every single day. Fishing,
100%.
Because you just be like, and then it's like if you do all the things where you're getting everything done that you need to do, and then you're just like, this is
it constitutes a perfect life. At the end.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the social media question. So ambivalent about social media. I recognize its power and its importance. I wish I wasn't subject to it, but I am, especially with but the thing is now it's everyone. If you're a fucking doctor's office, you need to have a social media presence. Yeah. So
they got doctors doing TikTok dances and shit, dude.
100%.
It's crazy.
Embarrassing.
It's wild.
I was in New York and I just saw like police officers on their phone and I'm like, they don't want to be police officers.
Yeah.
They want to be tic-tac-toe
champions, dude.
They want to be TikTok personalities. That's what everyone wants. And I think what it does is it diminishes the role of institutions in the world.
Yeah.
Because you realize it's all made of individuals. All of these individuals are like narcissistic and have self-interest that they're obliged to be a nurse. Yeah. They don't want to be a nurse. They want to be doing dancing and OnlyFans. But nursing is just how they happen to make money. Yeah. So it's like you realize that it's all kind of rotting from the inside. That's what I felt when I saw that police officer on his phone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's, well, I think there's so much with just how like a 9 to 5, 40 hours, 60 hours a week working is just gut wrenching no matter what you do. If you hate what you do, but you have to do it. Yeah. It's like you can get stuck in that world of not getting any kind of fulfillment.
100%. But also there are occupations that society has that need to be done for a functioning society that require people to have to do them. Like 40 hours a week of like nursing or police officery or whatever. I don't know. I do stand-up comedy. So I have no idea. I run this shack. This is my job.
Dude, this is nicer than a shack, brother.
Thank you.
What made you want to start East Austin Comedy Club?
It was just like a calculated decision because I wanted to do more stage time. So I was like, okay, how do I get more stage time? I either beg people to give me stage time, which is, I never liked doing that. I never like asking people. Yeah. Which I think stems from like growing up in a immigrant family. Yeah. Where the outside world seems like almost antagonistic. Yeah. Not collaborative. It seems like you need to figure it out on your own. Yeah. Because the world's not going to give you anything, which is a bad mentality. I need to get out of that. I think I have. I think I really enjoy collaborating because I think that's how you make really good stuff. But rather than asking for people, I was like, I'll just make my own stuff. So I started with shows, and then we found the place next door, and that became successful. And then a lady used to live here, and then she moved out, and she's like, do you want it? And so we turned this, and by we, I mean I turned this into basically what it was over there. But now we have the space, and we're paying a fraction of what we were paying over there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was like not very profitable over there.
Really?
It was valuable in terms of stage time.
Yeah.
Whereas here it feels like sustainable in the long term. The only problem is they might sell the land from beneath us.
Oof.
But if that happens, that happens.
We got squatter rights here. Or what are we going to do?
Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do.
We'll squeeze it for 6 months.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I've always respected and like admired what you guys have done here because it's such a cool, it does feel like it's the anti-cool kids because you guys aren't trying to be cool. This isn't the popular cool place, but it is the cool kids because it's not that, if that makes sense. It's about comedy. Like it really is about, you come here you want to see, it's almost like grassroots speakeasy style comedy where it's like, this is real. It's raw, you know?
Yeah, that's raw.
It's raw and real, dude. But
thank you, man. I think that's what we were always going for.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do is do stand up. So creating the world around me to do that was the goal. And now what's fun about it is like, this is not, I started it, but it's not me who run. It's not just me. It's like everyone, there's so many people who help make this place awesome that it's like, that, and that's the funnest part. I love coming here and then like seeing like just the gang of homies hanging out in the back. There's a bonfire going. I love that people treat it like it's their house too, which is mostly good. And sometimes there's trash everywhere, which I want to murder them. But overall, it's like the feeling of having good people around you and the community was the point of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like doing well up here, but also like having the hang is so fun. It's like I wouldn't have any other way. So
yeah, it definitely like facilitates, and I feel like that's where like, because East Austin I feel like came up really hard during the, I mean, obviously
Mothership.
Yeah, before Mothership.
Yeah.
And it was like the first place that kind of was a hub.
Yeah.
When everybody was like flooding in from everywhere. And East Austin, like, I feel like, I don't know if you guys were around before that, before the pandemic and everything.
No, not at all. We started this. So I found this place 2022. Wow. 22? Yeah. I found it 2022, April of 2022.
It's only been around for
2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then
it feels like such a staple. I mean, and it could be because this Austin scene is like newer.
Yeah. We found it, and then like what's interesting is like, and we were talking about this with like reels and stuff. Like it's how you name things and how you frame things that can make things stick. And the idea I had was naming, because it was just going to be a weekly show. And I was like, let's just call it East Austin Comedy Club, because it's like good for SEO. But like more than that, it feels like an institution automatically, like psychologically. And I think that made a huge impact on it. So, but what I really like about this location is how much we can just keep changing things. Yeah. Like every time people come here, they're like, oh, this is different now. This is different. Like we just threw those paved stones on the back because like on the alley that you have to
I walked them. I was like, man, this is
fancy.
Wow. Yeah, dude.
Listen, we're doing big things here.
Yeah, man.
We have rocks now. So no, it was like because it was just getting so much dirt was tracking in. But it's like just small things. Like we hung up mirrors, and the goal is not to be like really polished. The goal is just to make it more and more interesting. Yeah. And that's an easier goal, but also a more fun goal than keeping things hyper polished. So
you ever thought about putting some murals on the side here, and then like where people can take pictures in front of and shit?
Yes.
Some angel wings, dog. You know, we'll start getting some of them fucking Austin.
Yeah, I mean that is a good move. Of like even what we have back there, where it's like East Austin Comedy Club on the front, putting that in the back so that people can take a photo in front of it. Yeah. That's less. I know it is. See, this is the thing. Is like where that would become effective for social media, but not really. I think that would diminish the coolness of this place. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that. It's like competing interests. Social media has a totally different set of values than what makes something interesting and enjoyable in real life. Yeah. And so to excel at social media often feels like to degrade the experience in the present moment.
Whoa, dude. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I really do agree with that.
So then it's like a balance of, but at the same time, you wanna be effective at social media because so much of attention is directed in those channels. So
one thing about this room in particular is I've noticed from other stages is that I think by nature, the small, cozy, intimate demands attention of the crowd.
yeah.
And if you go to a place where it's more spread out and wide, they aren't as locked in because there's other options and things in the room.
Yeah. You're saying there's more there's more of a concentration of attention.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Because you feel it when you're on stage and you're like, okay, I'm here. You know,
what I love about this stage in particular is that you are surrounded. It's, you know what it feels like, like in the movie, like an old movie where like the criminal is running and then he gets backed up against a brick wall and there's like lights flashing at him and there's like people on all sides have him cornered. That's how it feels like to be on this stage because all three directions there's like people like watching you and the stage is so small so there's nowhere to move. I really like that feeling because
it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah. But also it's designed in a way where it's like it's hard to have a bad room in this room.
Bad room in this room.
It's hard to have. It's hard to have a bad audience in this room.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like for the most part, they're usually really good.
Yeah,
I think the hit rate is probably like 80 to 90%. That you're gonna have like a room that's cooking.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
And I think it's because of the hypertension.
Yeah.
And the way it's surrounded, where like you have people on each side, so it feels like you're bathing in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Because I think the first time I did this room, it was just right here. So you're in the corner of a room right here.
Yeah.
And then when you opened it up, the dynamic completely changed.
Yeah. Did you like one more than the other?
I like this now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The cornered room was really tight. It was fun, and it was like it popped because it was so like But taking that down really changes it to make it feels it's less like claustrophobic.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah. Do you plan on keeping East Austin for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I would stop is if they kick us out. Like if they sell the property and then the new people would want to make something out of it, like condos or something like that, then I would have to. But even then, I think, and that like depressed me when I first, because they put a for sale sign up, but there's so much, we'll see. Who knows what happens with that? But like what gave me a little bit of like hope is that the place is successful. And so we're here right now. We've already changed locations once. We can change locations again. The idea is good. The community is good, and there's a demand for what we're doing. Yeah. So the thing is, we would probably need funding if we had to move again. But I think because of how successful it's already been, I think I can rummage up that funding with people. Yeah. So,
dude, I'll buy in for 1%. Dude. I'll figure it out. We'll crowdfund this.
For sure.
What are some things that people don't realize? Because you're a comedian first. Is it, I mean, I feel like you do a great job of making sure you always wear that hat first.
Yeah.
With owning a club.
Yeah.
I almost, and I don't mean this in any weird way, it's almost like you're not a club or like a club owner because club owners are like a completely different entity.
Yeah. I never wanted to be a club owner. I think that's, there's nothing fun about that.
Yeah.
That being said, there is something really fun about designing this place and making it feel like what I think a comedy club should feel like.
Yeah.
That part is really fun to me. It's also fun to me to like put the people I like on. It's really fun to design the community because it's like you as the person who started this, you kind of emit a frequency that other people respond to that frequency. Yeah. So you find the people that fuck with you. So those are the parts I like about being perceived as a club owner. But this is a dilapidated house that I'm running a comedy show out of is fundamentally what it is. So like, and I don't mind being not seen as a club owner. In fact, I prefer that. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
The whole reason I'm doing everything else is so that I can do stand up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm doing anything specifically so that people feel like that I'm a stand up, but that's every show when I'm here, I go up on stage. That's the whole reason I'm doing it. There have been like, I don't know anyone else who's doing that, but also nobody else owns a fucking club. So
Yeah.
but like even with shows, sometimes people will like produce comedy shows, but don't go up themselves.
Yeah.
That always confuses me. It's like the whole point of it is to do stand up.
Yeah.
But I can see when that happens because it's like there's so much more fires you're putting out all day that like going up on stage seems like I don't care. It's just like another stress. But like what the strategy behind that is like to just start delegating so that the things I'm not good at or like stress me out, I'll just have someone else responsible for that. So I don't have to worry about that. Instead, I can focus primarily on being on stage.
Yeah. Did you, before like obviously having like delegation skills, did you work in a different industry where you developed those, or was it like learning on the job where you're like?
Both. I mean, I was in tech for a while.
Okay.
I was in grad school, and then I quit. I dropped out of grad school, and then I went into tech, and then I was a software engineer, and then I was a teacher. So
Really?
yeah.
Where did you teach it? Or what kind of teaching?
I used to teach software and data analysis and for universities.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
It was the last place. Previous to that, it was like boot camps. Do you know those like tech boot camps to learn like how to program?
Like Code Ninjas and things like that?
Code Ninja is one.
It was like a
Coding
kid.
Dojo.
Okay, Coding Dojo.
Yeah. I used to teach for that, Flatiron
So
School.
really appropriating the whole ninja fucking world, dude.
Yeah, very Asian themed coding. Yeah.
They're like, who's really good at coding?
Right.
The Asians. How do we get them in?
Right.
Ninjas.
You wouldn't want like coding hut, you know? That's not, they're not, people in huts are not the ones you want.
Speaking of this, you really like Japanese novels. What draws you to a certain kind of, like what do you enjoy?
Yeah, so the asterisk to that is that I like a specific Japanese author. So I would say I like Russian novels more than I like Japanese novels. Yeah, there's this one specific Japanese author, and what happened? This is interesting because it's like social media, right? Social media. One video went viral when I was talking about a Japanese author, and so then I was like, okay, is there something about that Japanese author that works? I brought that up in several other videos because I thought the virality was tied to that. But so then this idea perpetuated that I love Japanese authors, but I like just one Japanese author whose name is Yukio Mishima. And so now this is going to be another piece of content that goes out with his fucking name in it again. But what's interesting is that what caught about that is that Yukio Mishima was actually a very controversial figure.
Yeah.
And so I just liked his I think he lived in a very poetic way, and I really loved his literature. But he had also, I guess, like nationalistic point of view in terms of Imperial Japan or whenever he existed. And so then when I had posted a clip fawning about him, it got so much controversy in the content section or the comment section that it like blew up.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing with social media is that it promotes controversy.
Yeah.
I would say I like Yukio Mishima. I think the reasons I like him is just the way he writes is really beautiful.
He puts you in there when you
have you read any of his stuff?
Yeah.
What have you read?
I forgot the name of
The
it.
Hunger Games.
No.
Did
he write Hunger Games?
No, what is the Marvel I was gonna say that making fun of you, but it didn't work.
The boy who
fell out of favor with the sea.
Yeah.
The sailor who fell from grace with the sea.
That one. And,
amazing.
Just the vibe of it. You really.
When did you read that?
A few months back. You commented on it. You were like, "Oh, I love this book."
Oh yeah.
I found, because it's the first time I've read one of his books, and I just like, you could taste everything, you could smell everything.
Yeah,
and
it's just like it has so much like murderous and sexual energy.
Yeah.
And it's just like it comes out of the page.
Yeah. And
it's like the whole book is very incestuous.
Yeah.
It's like a boy watching his mother
literally starts off
fucked.
with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the scene where they kill the cat is just so, the writing of it is amazing. You're like, this is so intense.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing about Russian authors also. And
I love
a world
Russian
I haven't even
really
dove into.
Okay. There's like, what authors do you know that are Russian?
Zero.
Really?
Putin. I've read a little bit of what he's been talking about.
I've read his memos. Yeah. Kill Navalny.
Yeah.
Navalny died this week.
Oh, really?
Do you know who he is?
No.
He was like the opposition character in Russian politics. They would keep poisoning him and jailing him indefinitely.
And he just kept him moving?
He kept him moving, and then they killed him.
They got him?
I mean, they say it was natural, but he was like 45 years old and he died.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But Russian authors, the Russians are just so existential. They just like confront you with the problem of existence from the jump. They're so beautiful. There's Dostoevsky. He wrote Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, The Brothers Karamazov. I'm not a huge fan of Dostoevsky, although he's considered one of the best. I like some books by him, like Notes from the Underground is really good. The first author I like fell in love with is Tolstoy. He wrote War and Peace.
Yeah.
He wrote Anna Karenina. He's genius. He's so good. I don't even know how to describe it. What he'll do is like, if he was describing this situation, he'll describe the environment beautifully. Then he'll jump into your brain and then describe how you're thinking about this interview as it's happening, and then tie it to like your upbringing and why your posture is this way because of something that happened in your life. Like his ability to understand people and then articulate it is like no other author.
Wow.
And then he'll jump out of you and then go into me and then explain why I sit cross-legged like this. And then he'll jump out of me and then into the cricket that's like crawling on the floor. And then he'll also carry this. So then you go somewhere else and then you'll follow these lives in such a intimate way where these characters are like, you're bonded to them because you resonate with them. You see them as your friends and real people. So, and his books are extraordinarily long. The ones I read. I mean, there's some like really, the best book by him that I would recommend is The Death of Ivan Ilyich, because it's very short, but it captures that feeling. Also, I think like everyone just reads short books now. There's no attention span anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that you approach writing stand-up through influence of novels? Just because I think that you have premises. Like a lot of people have jokes, you have premises, you have ideas, and you expand on them.
Thank you, man. I try to. I will see that like when I'm reading a particular book, it will shape how I write in my journal, and it'll shape what I want to talk about on stage. I don't know if there's been like direct, like, oh, I read this and then I wrote this particular joke.
But even in your approach to just like creating stuff, do you think that how do you write? What do you normally?
My writing pattern right now is that I write 25 minutes. Doesn't matter what I write about, but I would have to write for 25 minutes. And then what I do every day, which seems like not a lot of time, but the consistency is the underlying important part. And then I have like another kind of call to action section, which is like, okay, you need to fix this part about that joke, or kind of just write freehanded about the ending to this joke, whatever it is, right? And then I have these like fragments of ideas. So I'm never like looking at a blank page. Well, I am looking at a blank page, but I'm coming into that blank page with to-do items so that it's not like, I don't know what the hell to write about.
Yeah.
And I think it's pays so many dividends. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it, but it pays so many dividends in that you keep doing it and it just starts, that tap just starts opening and all the gunk comes out of the faucet and you're an infinite reservoir of ideas.
Yeah.
So, how do you write?
Similar, that every morning, as soon as I wake up, drink water, and get coffee or something, read a chapter of whatever book I'm reading, and then I'll set a timer for 30 minutes and force myself to.
I thought you were going to end that before you get to the writing. It's just all the other shit you do instead of writing. Gonna take a bath.
And then I watch Cops. No, and then because my idea is like, I need to get out the most important tasks of the day. So usually I'll do my 30 minutes and then I'll go work out just so like I knock off those important things. Like, I'm just like, okay, the rest of my day, I got the hierarchy in there.
Right.
And it usually, I usually am just on the computer. Sometimes I will have audio from the set the night before and I'll listen to it and I'll sweat and cringe the whole time listening to it and pull ideas or like voice memos.
Right.
But or if it's a new idea, I'll just expand and write about it without trying to be funny and then start trying to figure out.
And then finding the punches within that.
Yeah.
I think if you just dwell on an idea, you're a funny person and you'll find the funny.
Yeah.
But dwelling on the idea is the hard part.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But has it changed for you? Like, was that always the strategy?
It's probably just evolved where there's even like, because I have so much stuff like written in notes in different years, like everything's organized by like observational, about me, political, blah, blah, blah. Like I'll go back and I'll read stuff and like pull ideas. It's changed in that I probably cut out a lot of fat sooner. That would be the thing. Probably the big thing is I do need to listen to sets more. I'm so terrible because I hate listening to them.
I like listening.
Really?
But I think it stems from like narcissism probably.
Really?
Because I'm my girlfriend who's also a comedian, she's like, I wish I could look at anyone. I could smile at anyone the way you smile as you listen to your own sets.
Really?
Yeah. It's embarrassing, but I do enjoy, like when something's going, I'm like, oh, that was good. Yeah.
Dang.
So, which I don't know what that says about me, but I do like listening to sets. But this is the thing is like, I don't think just listening to sets is good enough. I think cringing on sets and like indulging on sets is both not helpful unless you're like critiquing or changing something about the set. So.
Yeah, mine is usually finding things. Like I have a bad habit of saying, during and then I'm like, what am I doing? It's interesting even watching versus listening. Like I think there's even better if you watch it because then you're picking up your mannerisms.
Have you seen? There's this like practice or habit you can do, which is like first you watch the set with audio off, then you listen to the set with no video exposure, then you listen to both of them combined. So then you're kind of assessing your vocal image, then your visual image, then together.
Whoa.
And that's an interesting exercise because then you're like, oh, this is what I'm conveying through my body language.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I've done it once.
Yeah.
This is the thing is like there's so many things you could be doing. I should do more of that. But I have done that like one or two times where I watch like an old set. I mean, what I really like doing is watching like a set from like a year and a half ago. And then I cringe. Yeah. Because then it's like, I'm like, I wore that. Yeah. And I sounded like that. And this is what I was saying up there. Yeah. That part is cringe. But also it's reassuring because then you're like, oh, I'm so much better now.
Yeah. Making progress.
Yeah.
That's all we got is just the progress.
Yes, sir.
That's like my whole, everything with life now is like built into the idea of you're like a compilation of all your, like it's not just that one thing.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the daily habits that.
Yeah. And you're a compilation over the entire year.
Right.
You know, it makes
and you are fishing every day.
So. Every day of my life, dude, I'm just getting better. Yeah. Just sharpening the hooks. But it makes it all so much more digestible with life, with like, don't let the highs get you too high and the lows get you too low because you're like, I'm focused on the next thing.
Right.
Because I mean, I feel like that can be a pitfall in comedy or any kind of like creative thing, is if you're so focused on that win of this moment, blah, blah, blah. And then if you're so focused on that loss, oh my God, I bombed so fucking bad. And you're like literally taking it into the next set.
Right. How do you respond to bombs?
I try to assess objectively, like what went wrong and why that happened.
Right.
Was it preparation? Was it not like being too tense if something started happening?
Yeah.
And like how I responded to it. I like try to do that with most things in life where it's like, okay, how do I objectively deal with this rather than like be a victim of the circumstance?
Right.
Yeah. What about you?
I like to sit in it. Like if if I bombed, I think it's like, first of all, it's like framing it as like a good thing because it's like you did something.
Yeah.
And then calculating like what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Like what you said, and then trying to see if I can fix it. I was like on a bomb streak for a while. But this is the thing, is like your bombs also change in their quality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Often in the beginning you're bombing and you have no idea why you're bombing.
Yeah.
And now
that's the scariest type of bombing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're like,
can't do anything.
That's how I feel about putting content up on the internet. It's just like, I feel like I'm bombing with it. And I just like am not understanding what I'm doing wrong. Whereas with stand up, I'm like, if I'm like experimenting a lot now, then I'm bombing. Then I can have the potential to bomb. But otherwise, it's like I have the movements down of what I need to do to like get them on my side. But the thing is, the more you're experimenting and the more you're bombing, the more you're stretching your skill set.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's how I respond to bombing. So the frustrating thing is with social media, I feel like I'm bombing right now, and also feel like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's getting better, but it is like the problem. What were you gonna say?
Well, I just think social media is there's more. It's out of your control with what happens once you post something.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
there are still basic structures to social media that get rewarded. My problem with it is that I haven't found a way to make those structures feel like my own and not cringy.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of what social media rewards feels cringe to me. So it's like, how do I do it in a way where it feels like me? I don't feel like I'm being fake to myself.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way we're obviously pining for attention up here, but it's like, how are you doing in a way that feels natural?
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping that the digital series thing that I'm working on is that. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, all you can do is just create what you want to create. Yeah. And like, there'll be an audience for it eventually.
Hopefully. Yeah. I think that, but also you have to like read the room, right?
Yeah.
It's like going up on stage and then shouting racial slurs and being like, this is what I wanted to create. And eventually I'll find it. I guess that's what Kill Tony is. But like, I think that, like kind of changing it is a dialogue between you and the audience on social media as well. This is what I'm telling myself. Cause like just hating it is not the answer. And then not like changing what you're doing based on like poor response is also not the answer. So it's like, how do I adjust to find it so that it pays dividends?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. Is there anything other than comedy that you would want to do if you weren't doing stand-up?
Yeah, I would want to do everything.
Really?
I love making stuff. So like, what's fun about this club is that I've accidentally found this, and this is like fun to iterate on and change and stuff. I think like making food is something I'm really interested in eventually doing, like designing a menu for a restaurant. If I had more money and like the energy to do that. But I also don't want to spread myself too thin. That's my problem in life. So, and then also making music is something I'm really interested in that I would like to at least get into as a hobby right now. And then like I want to make music and then put it out into the world. I think that
what kind of music?
It would be like a mix of like an Indian influence, but like electronic, like, have you heard of Panther Du Prince? Mm-mm. It's like this German minimalist house, but not house. I don't even know. It's so hard to categorize genres now. I feel like because it's all vaguely electronic.
Yeah.
But I don't mean it in a like a techno-y way.
Yeah.
I mean in like like using whatever that machine is with all the colors. And then sampling like traditional Indian sounds.
Yeah.
And then have you heard of Fred again?
No.
Okay. Well,
So there's a lot of experimental
stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you have plans of like doing more than just comedy. Like you're going to keep evolving and doing.
Yeah. But I want to first kind of get to some sort of the goal with comedy is I can do as much time as I want here in Austin, but it's also at my club, right? So I think the goal is to build a following so that I can do it everywhere.
Yeah.
And then also incorporate music into it. The thing I love about music is that it's such a broader range of emotions. I think comedy is amazing. I think it's harder than music to be good at. I don't know if
dude drumming down the street says otherwise, brother.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a little hubris, but like I do think that like comedy requires a direct feedback and music doesn't rely on
You can
that.
build it in a vacuum.
Yeah. So you can,
Yeah.
Also, if you're bombing with music, nobody's going to tell you.
Yeah.
You won't know. Or I mean, you'll know if you're self-aware, but otherwise you could just like, you can play music and in a crowded room and it doesn't matter if they respond to it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting about like you go to a coffee shop and there's just someone playing guitar and everything and you're just still having like conversations and everything. It's almost like can be background.
Yeah.
But it's like with comedy, no, that
The comedian has to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, what the fuck are you talking about? It's my turn to talk.
What are you guys working over there with your laptops? What do you do for work?
Yeah.
You know?
You have to demand attention.
Yeah.
It's a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
So
I loved it early on, like doing, I would call them, what are they called? Where people just show up and they just start doing it like a flash mob open mic, where you would just be at some restaurant and the people eating their fucking chicken fingers have no idea comedy's about to happen.
Yeah.
And then the host goes, all right, guys, we're going to start the comedy. And then they're just trying to shovel it in their mouth. And you're going up there and you're like, I use a tampon. Like, you're just like,
it's also like, so like comedy's so gross in that way where it's like, you have to, most bad comedians, which is like 80% of them, they use shock.
Yeah.
You have to be gross about it on stage.
It gets you that pop in the beginning. When you're first learning, you're you got dick jokes and...
It's a way to get attention, is to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
You know? So
that was like always a thing with open mics where... That's why I always think there's a balance when you're like in those first years of trying to leave the open mic world, is if you're in the open mic world too long, you start developing jokes that work well at open mics.
And only open mics.
And for the comics watching.
Right.
And then you become the fucking king of the open mic.
Yeah.
And then
that's
you're
the
like,
worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get out of open mics. It's bad data, is what I say.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for data from the audience, right? But if nobody's paying attention, you could have a good joke that nobody paid attention to. And you could have a bad joke that comics like because they have a demented sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so you're just like learning the wrong things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I also think, so this is something I'm struggling with, is that I perform primarily here, you know? And so I'm learning data that works in this room, but isn't necessarily translatable everywhere. I'm like, my muscles are getting trained to work in this particular set of circumstances rather than any other.
Interesting.
So.
That's interesting. What, I mean, I feel like this is a great place to get comfortable because I feel 100%. Like if it's one of those.
Yeah. But also like you wanna be able to do bigger rooms and do different demographics, not the ones that you see in East Austin, you know?
Yeah.
So
you probably don't get nervous here at all anymore, yeah?
No, I don't get nervous, but like, what do I get? I don't get nervous. Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as nerves. I don't get nervous.
Okay,
yeah.
I was about to ask if you get do you get nerves at any other show?
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah, for sure. This is so much like home.
Yeah, right.
It's impossible to feel nervous.
We're
here
literally in a converted living room. This is used to be someone's home.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. And but like if it's like a big show or like performing at somewhere where I feel like I need to do good for others, like then I will get nervous.
Right.
But not in a obvious way unless you know the differentiation between how I am here versus in a foreign place.
Right. That thought just entered my head is that the people who lived in here before, like, would they have thought this was the next thing that would happen here? Like,
I told her that that's what we were doing with the place, so she knew.
Did she live here?
Yeah. Wow. So, and then she knew what we were doing over there, and then she was like, "All right, well, I'll rent this out to you," and then she was going to try to make a buck off of us by charging us more than what her rent was. And then the actual landlord found out, and then they're like, "You can't do sublets." So then we got the base rate, the price that
she had. So she probably tried pulling a quick one and becoming a middleman for the landlord.
Yeah. But the other place was also like charging us an arm and leg.
Really?
Yeah. So we're paying daily rental fees.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was just so expensive. We would get the place for like 5 hours in the evening, but we were paying a monthly. It added up to being like it was more than we're paying now, less than what we were paying over there for the whole month. But we only had that place for a few hours.
Okay.
For 4 of the nights of the week.
So this is basically your place 24/7.
Yeah, we lease this place.
Okay.
Yeah, I lease this place.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, Raza, thank you for doing the podcast, man.
Thank you, man. This was fun.
I appreciate you. I appreciate
questions.
what you've done here in East Austin and for the comedy scene.
Thank you, brother.
It really is a big deal. It's amazing that, you've done this. You've given a lot of comedians homes that don't have homes out there, you know?
Thank you, man.
I do liken this place to something like the Belly Room at the Comedy Store in LA.
Cool. Yeah.
Like it's
intimate.
where it's intimate, and it's where you come find out if your jokes are really funny.
Yeah.
Be like, because there's
Do you feel like this is harder than like a bigger room?
It is. It's more truthful, I think. So maybe harder, but maybe they're not going to laugh if they're seeing enough comedians still where they're not going to gift you laughs that you can get at other places.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like even like Wake the Dead, the show I did in San Marcos. I'm like, the laughs were there's such a great audience.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can volleyball you through a set of like, they can punch that set up. But here, even though they're great audiences, if something's not really that funny, they're not going to gift you them laughs.
Gotcha.
Which will tell you the truth about your jokes.
About your jokes, yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great
Love to hear it.
Where can people find all of your stuff? The Raven's Dilemma on YouTube?
Yeah, it's Raza Dots, RAZADOTS on Instagram and pretty much every other place, TikTok and Twitter and all that. And then I have a new digital series, which is called Intrusive Thoughts. That's not released, but will be one day. So.
And where can they actually watch your special on YouTube?
If you, on my YouTube page, it's like Raza Jafri Super Deluxe is what it's based on. So
beautiful. Thank you guys. Go check out all of his stuff. We love you.